Hey everybody, I'm Lissa and welcome back to the channel for yet another book talk. I've done a couple on this channel in probably the last couple of weeks or so, but they've both been about books that I didn't like. So we're going to try today to talk about books, or a book in particular, that I actually liked and see how it goes. For those of you who do not follow me on Twitter, Goodreads, or on my actual written book blog, you might not know that I am obsessed with the Lunar Chronicles. Seriously, it's my favorite series right now, and I've only just now finished reading the second book. It's just that it has so much going for it. There are all these sci-fi elements, like there are biogenetics, and there are hovercrafts, and there are spaceships, like there are satellites that people actually, like, this is part of everyday life for the characters in this book, which is kind of amazing considering the Lunar Chronicles is a series of fairy tale retellings, and it's not very often, at least not in my experience, that you come across a fairy tale retelling that actually deals with the future and technology. So that's pretty awesome. I started reading Scarlet, which is the second book in the Lunar Chronicles trilogy, right after I finished reading two books that I really did not like. So that's probably part of the reason why I like Scarlet so much, but I remember opening the book up, and after about 15 pages, I was just sitting there on my bed like, I wanted to hug the book. I refrained. Like, I stopped myself because that would kind of look weird if someone had walked in my room like, why are you hugging books? But I really wanted to, and that was a very strong urge that I had to fight. I like Scarlet because the plot line and everything that happened was so dramatic, and at the same time it was action-packed. So you got this rare combination of it being both an action-packed book and an emotional roller coaster of a book, to where there were parts in Scarlet where I had no idea what to feel. It tricked me a few times. Like, I thought something was going to happen, then something else completely different happened. I was just sitting there like, whoa, what is this? It was just really good. And the characters are so compelling, and they're so diverse. Oh my god. And I mean diverse in clearly a lot of ways. Like, some of them are aliens and some of them are not, you know, but diverse in other ways too. And can we just give Marissa Meyer all of the awards? Can we do that? Can we just go ahead and do that? I talk a lot about the fact that I do not like dystopian books because I don't like them. But if you think about it, the Lunar Chronicles is an entire series of dystopian books that not only am I willing to read them, but I'm slightly obsessed with them. That's talent. Scarlet, like the other books in the Lunar Chronicles series, is a fairy tale retelling. If you can't tell from the red cloak that's on the cover, it's supposed to be a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood. It follows a main character named Scarlet, who is an 18-year-old French girl living in a small farm town with her grandmother on a farm. And one day she wakes up and her grandmother is missing, and her ID chip, which is an identification system used in this futuristic world, is laying on the kitchen table. Scarlet sets out on this rescue mission to find out who has her grandmother and to bring her back home. On the way, things happen. Lots of things happen. Cinder, which is the first book in the Lunar Chronicles series, is about the main character, Cinder, who is the main character of the entire series, even though as you go on in more and more books, more and more characters get added into the series. It's about her, and it's set in New Beijing, which is the capital of the Eastern Commonwealth. I guess the Eastern Commonwealth is best described as a conglomeration of modern-day Asian nations. That's the best I got. Scarlet is about Scarlet, and it is set mostly in France. And Marissa Meyer basically just deserves even more awards, because even though Scarlet is a continuation of the basically Cinder storyline, it's still Cinder's series, and it's still her overall story, I guess, but this was definitely Scarlet's book. I ended up giving this book 5 out of 5 stars. That's how good it was. Now, Scarlet is the second book in a series, so there's really no way for me to talk about this book without spoiling either Cinder or Scarlet itself for you. So if you have not read either of those books and you don't want to know what's going on, you probably need to cut this off right now. Bye. I basically said everything already about the plot that you really need to know going into this book. Really, if I were to say any more, it would definitely be spoilers, and I don't want to do that because it's better this way. What made this book so good for me, even more than the plot, was the cast of characters. In Scarlet, we get introduced to 3 new principal characters. We get Scarlet, who is the titular character, we get Wolf, and we get Thorn. Okay, I laugh every time anyone brings up Thorn because just Thorn. He is so ridiculous. I cannot deal with him. We meet Thorn in New Beijing during one of Cinder's perspectives. She kind of falls into his cell completely on accident. Didn't mean to find him or deal with him at all. Ends up being stuck with him because she's escaping prison. He wants to escape prison. They both need to get out of New Beijing, and he's the only person she knows with a ship who is willing to help her. There we go. He is so ridiculous. Like, I can't do with it. Thorn he's just so American. Like, if I wasn't already American, if you asked me to describe an American, I would describe Thorn, because he's so, like, he's so much ego, and he has so much unfounded confidence in himself, and you really don't know if he's dumb or just like, I don't even, lackadaisical. Lackadaisical is a very good word to describe Thorn, and just like, I love him. He also has this like really great Jack Sparrow thing going on where he was a cadet in the American military before he defected from the American military and went on this like year-long crime spree. Seriously, he's wanted in like 4 countries for various and sundry crimes. And he insists, even though he's a cadet, since he stole a spaceship from the American military, and he painted over the American military logo with a naked lady. Like, what up, World War II reference? But because he has now stolen the ship, he says he's the captain of the ship, so he insists on being called Captain Thorn. Like, I can't with him. And I really love how his relationship with Cinder kind of changes over the course of the book, because at first, like I said, she's stuck with him, basically. He's an annoyance. She really wishes that she could get rid of him. He probably wishes that he could get rid of her, especially after he realizes that, you know, she's half cyborg. But by the end of the book, like, they're BFFs. Like, it's so cute. It's just so cute. Another new character that we get is Wolf, and oh man, Wolf. Am I the only one that as they were reading this book and anytime Wolf got mentioned, like Tyler Hoechlin kind of turned into their vision of what Wolf is? Like, I don't know how to say his name. What is it? Like Tyler, like Hicklin. I don't really know what it is. And I don't really even watch Teen Wolf. Like, I'm not a TV person at all, but he's it for me. He's got the sticky uppy hair, and he's got these striking eyes, and he has this face. Like, oh my god, he has this face, and it's beautiful, but at the same time, he looks like he might want to eat you, so you're kind of turned on, but at the same time, you're scared for your life because he looks like he wants to eat you, but maybe that's why you're turned on. And like, Tyler Hoechlin. No, but seriously, he's such a puppy, and I love him. Wolf, not Tyler Hoechlin. Or maybe both of them. I don't know. Speaking of Wolf, I know that this is supposed to be a Little Red Riding Hood retelling, and that's fine. Like, that's totally a thing. It's a thing. But I also saw some elements of Beauty and the Beast while I was reading it that are pretty heavy. For one, Scarlet sets out on this rescue mission to save her grandmother from this faceless entity, basically. She doesn't know where she is, and she's basically going to have to happen upon her unless she finds someone that can help her find her grandma. And then she, in turn, gets captured by that same faceless entity, only to be set free by her crazy half-animal love interest dude. Speaking of the half-animal love interest dude, Wolf wasn't always basically half an animal. He was made that way, only instead of being made that way by a vengeful fairy godmother demon woman, he was a subject of some really weird biomedical government testing. I'm not going to say where, because it's part of the surprise. Then there's the final showdown between Wolf and Rand, which is very reminiscent, if I'm talking about the Disney version here because Grimm's fairy tales scare me, which is very reminiscent of the whole final Beast Gaston showdown. Even though Rand's attention for Scarlet wasn't in the Gaston way, Scarlet still ends up being the center of their conflict. Like, she's the prize, basically, to be won. Only on one hand, Wolf wants to keep her safe, and Rand wants to eat her. And this is the best part. Okay, maybe it's not the best part, but it's really good. In the end, after all the fighting is done, true love is what keeps Wolf from turning full animal on her. Well, like, true love and an elephant tranquilizer, but we're going to focus on the true love part. Speaking of the true love part, there is a smidgen of insta-love in this book, and I know it'll gross insta-love, right? But Marissa Meyer does a really good job of avoiding the L word between Scarlet and Wolf. And hey, thank you for avoiding the L word if you at all possibly can. 2, I don't really care because I forgot that they had only really known each other for like a day. Like, the book had to remind me that they had only known each other for like a day. The book had to remind Scarlet that they had only really known each other for like a day. So, can you really be mad at that? I don't think you can. Speaking of Scarlet, because I know I've done a lot of talking about the men that we get introduced to in this particular installment of the Lunar Chronicle series, I love her. She's excellent. She's this little redheaded French girl, and for basically most of her life, it's been her and her grandma and the farm. Her mother ran off when she was very young, and her dad is kind of a layabout, and he had other priorities apart from raising his daughter, so it was her and her grandma. It's always been her and her grandma, and she's perfectly fine with keeping it that way. Like, that does not bother her at all. She likes her farm, she likes her town, she doesn't really want to go anywhere. She just wants her grandma back, and she wants life to continue on as normal. She did not ask to get thrown up in any of this like crazy space adventure. And I like Scarlet because she's resourceful and she has her own sense of agency. She has her own agenda, and she's not going to let anybody get in the way of her own agenda. She shot Wolf when it looked like he was about to mess up all her plans. Like, she shot him. Like, it didn't go in, like it only like grazed his arm, but still, she shot him. We need more Scarlets. We really do. And then there's this other thing in the book that I had completely, like, it got mentioned in Cinder, but I had totally forgotten about it, and I'm going to say like 2 words about it, and that's all I'm going to say. 3 words. Yes, 3 words. Biomedically engineered werewolves. That's all I'm going to say. That's it. I'm done. And that's all I really have to say about Scarlet. If you can't tell from listening to me gush for the last however many minutes, I really liked it. In fact, I liked it so much that immediately after I finished reading it, I ran out and bought Cress. I did. Like, I'm in the middle of another book right now, but the second it's done, I got a date with this baby right here. I really do. In the meantime, you guys leave me a comment down below in the box. Let me know if you've read Scarlet, if you've read Cinder, if you've read any of the Lunar Chronicles. Just don't spoil me or I will have to find you. I don't know what you guys think about this series, but I would like to. And you can also find links below to all my other social medias. You can find a link to this book on Goodreads. You can find a link to my actual written review of this book on my written blog. Just look in the box. There's cool stuff in the box. And that's all for this go round. Until next time, bye!